The reigning Wimbledon champion is gone from Toronto, and for Alex Eala, that one result may have changed the entire tournament. Linda Noskova arrived as the world number 7, the Wimbledon champion and one of the most dangerous players anywhere near this section of the draw. She also carried something more personal. Earlier this season, Noskova beat Alex 6-2, 6-love at Indian Wells. It was not simply a difficult matchup on paper. Alex already knew exactly how dangerous Noskova could be. But before Toronto could give them another meeting, Caty McNally changed everything. 7-6, 6-1. Noskova was out. One of the biggest obstacles in the section disappeared. So now comes the question every Alex Eala fan is thinking about. Did the road to a Toronto title just open? Maybe. But look one step deeper into the draw, and the answer becomes much more complicated. Because Noskova is gone, McNally is still here. And McNally is now standing directly in front of Alex. That matters. McNally did not simply benefit from a bad day by the Wimbledon champion. She survived a tight opening set, won the tiebreak, then took complete control of the second. 6-1. The player who removed one huge danger may have immediately become another, and if Alex survives McNally, another name could begin moving toward her, Coco Gauff. That possibility changes the entire emotional temperature of this draw. Coco crushed Alex 6-love, 6-2 in Dubai. Then, only weeks later at Indian Wells, Alex won the first set 6-2 and moved ahead 2-love in the second before Coco retired with pain in her left arm. 2 meetings. 2 completely different stories. Potentially one more chapter in Toronto. But this time Alex would arrive as a different player too. She is no longer trying to prove that she can win a WTA title. She already has one. Washington changed that. Alex came to Toronto as the world number 20, carrying the biggest momentum of her career and fresh evidence that she can survive an entire week against elite competition. That is why the Noskova upset matters. Not because Toronto suddenly became easy. It did not. Not because Alex suddenly became the favorite. She did not. It matters because the shape of this tournament changed at exactly the moment Alex appears more prepared than ever to take advantage of it. One major obstacle disappeared. Another dangerous player replaced her. And beyond that, an even bigger story may be waiting. But before we talk about Coco, before we talk about semifinals, and definitely before we talk about a trophy, there is one thing we need to understand. Why did Noskova leaving this draw matter so much for Alex in the first place? The answer starts at Indian Wells. Alex had just produced one of the most fascinating matches of her season against Coco Gauff. Dubai had been brutal. Coco won 6-love, 6-2. Then Indian Wells completely changed the picture. Alex took the first set 6-2. She moved ahead 2-love in the second. Then Coco retired because of pain in her left arm. The match never gave us a normal ending, but Alex moved forward with momentum and belief. Then Noskova stopped everything. 6-2, 6-love. No dramatic third set. No late comeback. No chance for Alex to change the direction of the match. That result mattered then. It matters even more now because Noskova later became Wimbledon champion. So, when Alex looked through the Toronto draw and saw Noskova nearby, she was not looking at just another seed. She was looking at the world number 7, the Wimbledon champion, and a player who had already beaten her badly this season. Now that player is gone. That is real. That matters. But this is where fans have to be careful. It would be easy to look at the result and think Alex got lucky. Noskova disappeared. Problem solved. Not even close. Because the woman who removed Noskova is the woman Alex has to beat next. McNally now enters that match with something dangerous. Freedom. She has already created the upset. She has already beaten the biggest name in her immediate path. She has already proved to herself that ranking and reputation do not have to decide the match. That changes how a player can feel when she walks onto the court. A favorite often carries expectation. An underdog can swing without fear. McNally already knows what happened when she did exactly that against the Wimbledon champion. Alex has a completely different emotional problem. She is coming off Washington, the first WTA singles title of her career, the biggest week of her professional life. Before Washington, Alex could enter many major matches as the exciting young player with little to lose. Now people look at her differently. Opponents see a champion. Fans expect another run. Every match becomes evidence. Was Washington one incredible week? Or was Washington the beginning of a new level? That pressure appeared immediately against Alicia Parks. Alex won the first set 6-1. Then Parks took the second 6-4. That was the important moment. Alex had already played through an entire championship week. Then came celebration, travel, attention, recovery, and another major tournament. She had every reason to feel the emotional drop. Instead, she reset. 6-2 in the deciding set. Match over. That tells us something important. Winning Washington proved Alex could reach a huge level. Beating Parks immediately afterward showed that she could return to work. Now McNally asks a much harder question. Can Alex take advantage of a draw that is beginning to change around her? Because a changing draw creates opportunity. It also creates pressure. The better the path looks, the more people expect you to use it. That can become dangerous. Alex cannot play Coco Gauff in her mind while McNally is standing across the net. She cannot think about quarterfinals while trying to hold serve in the third round. She cannot look at the trophy while the next point is still waiting. That is how an opportunity becomes a trap. So if you believe Washington was the beginning of something bigger, make your prediction now. Does Alex get through McNally? Because if she does, the conversation changes immediately. And then we can finally say the part Alex Eala fans want to hear. Yes, the draw has improved. A reigning Wimbledon champion disappearing from this section matters. There is no reason to pretend otherwise. Noskova had elite form. She had elite confidence. She had already shown that her game could cause Alex serious problems. Now Alex no longer has to solve that matchup. That makes the path better. But better does not mean easy. That distinction is everything. Think about a tennis draw like a field filled with traps. You do not need every dangerous player to disappear. You only need the most dangerous players directly in your route to disappear at the right time. One upset can change a round. A few upsets can change an entire section. Noskova leaving Toronto is one of those changes. But then you look forward. Coco Gauff could be there. Maria Sakkari could be there. Further ahead, names like Naomi Osaka, Elise Mertens, Belinda Bencic, and Taylor Townsend could still influence the path. Different players, different styles, different problems. This is still a WTA 1000. Nobody walks into the final because a bracket suddenly became comfortable. At some point, Alex will have to beat someone dangerous. Probably several dangerous players. That is what winning this level requires. So the important word is not easy. The important word is clearer. The path is clearer. We can see the checkpoints now. McNally first, then potentially Coco or Sakkari, then another difficult section, then the semi-final picture, then maybe the final. And this is where the Noskova upset becomes much more interesting than one seed disappearing, because Alex may have traded one unfinished story for another. If Coco advances and Alex advances, Toronto could give them a third meeting. And that third meeting would feel completely different from the first two. Dubai looked like domination. Coco won 6-love, 6-2. Indian Wells looked like a response. Alex took the first set 6-2 and moved ahead 2-love before the match ended early because of the injury for Coco. Which version is real? Maybe neither one gives us the full answer. Dubai showed what Coco can do when she controls the matchup. Indian Wells showed that Alex could come back only weeks later and completely change the scoreboard. Now, Toronto could ask a different question. What happens when Coco faces the version of Alex that has already become a WTA champion? That version did not exist in Dubai. That version did not exist at Indian Wells. Washington created it. And winning a title changes something deeper than ranking points. It changes memory. Before Washington, Alex could believe she was capable of surviving championship pressure. Now she knows what it feels like. She knows what it feels like to lose the opening set of a final. She knows what it feels like to fight back. She knows what it feels like when the trophy is one set away. She knows what it feels like to finish. That does not guarantee anything against Coco, but when a match becomes tight, experience matters. Belief says, maybe I can do this. Experience says, I have already done something like this before. That is why a potential third meeting would be fascinating. So if you could choose the road for Alex, which test would you rather see? Would you want the Noskova rematch that Toronto just removed? Or would you rather see Alex get another chance against Coco Gauff? Put your answer in the comments, because those two matches would test completely different things. Noskova would test whether Alex could solve a player who stopped her badly at Indian Wells. Coco would test whether Alex can take two completely different previous meetings and finally produce a full answer. And that brings us to the real twist. The Noskova upset did not create an easy path. It created a path we can understand more clearly. More importantly, it happened at exactly the moment Alex appears more capable of using it. 6 months ago, an opening in the draw around Alex would have been exciting because she was dangerous. Today, it feels more serious. Today, Alex is dangerous and proven. And Washington is the reason. Look at the names she had to beat there. Zheng Qinwen, Leylah Fernandez, Elina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, Jessica Pegula. That is not one lucky afternoon. That is a sequence. Different opponents, different styles, different pressure. Alex kept finding answers. Then came the final. Jessica Pegula took the first set, 6-4. Pegula had the experience. She had been ranked as high as world number 3. She had reached a United States Open final. Alex was trying to win the first WTA singles title of her career. Everything about the pressure should have favored Pegula, Alex responded. 6-4 in the second. Then came the deciding set. This should have been the moment when nerves became heavier. This should have been the moment when experience took over. Alex won 6-love. 6 straight games against Jessica Pegula. In the deciding set of a final, that is the strongest evidence in this entire conversation. One upset can happen. One favorite can play badly. One strange day can produce a shocking result. But beating elite players across an entire tournament is harder to dismiss. Alex did not surprise one major name in Washington. She kept doing it. And she kept doing it while the pressure increased. That matters more now because Toronto is testing whether the level can travel. Against Parks, Alex already gave us the first small answer. After the biggest week of her career, she lost the second set and still recovered to win the third 6-2. That result is not as glamorous as beating Pegula, but it tells us something useful. Champions are not only defined by what happens when everything feels perfect, they are defined by how quickly they can return to work when the celebration ends. Alex did that. And that changes how we should view the Noskova upset. The real story is not that the draw changed. Draws change all the time. Seeds lose. Favorites disappear. Upsets happen. The real story is that Alex may finally be good enough for those changes to matter. That is the difference. A few months ago, the exciting question around Alex was whether she could shock one elite opponent. Now we have evidence that she can beat several in the same week. A few months ago, a major seed disappearing might have created hope for one extra round. Now the same event creates a completely different question. How far can she actually go? That is what real progress looks like. When you are still climbing, you hope for the perfect matchup. You hope a favorite disappears. You hope the draw becomes kind. When you become a contender, the conversation changes. The draw does not have to become easy. It only needs to become possible. Then your own level has to do the rest. That is where Alex stands now. McNally is not easy. Coco would not be easy. Sakkari would not be easy. Nobody wading deeper in a WTA 1000 would be easy. But Washington proved that Alex can solve more than one difficult problem in the same week. Toronto is asking whether she can do it again at an even bigger level. So, did Noskova leaving Toronto really open the door for Alex Eala? Yes. But opening a door and walking all the way through it are two completely different things. The path is better, the path is clearer, the path is not easy. First comes McNally, the player who just removed the Wimbledon champion. If Alex loses there, every conversation about a Toronto title ends. If Alex wins, the picture changes again. Then Coco or Sakkari could become the next gate. If Coco advances too, Toronto could suddenly give us a third chapter in one of the most unusual matchups of the season. And if Alex survives that level, the tournament becomes even more serious. Other dangerous names remain. The elite field remains. The pressure keeps growing. Nobody is handing Alex the trophy. She would have to earn every round. But that is exactly why this moment is so interesting. 6 months ago, a major seed disappearing near Alex might have made fans wonder whether she could survive one more match. Today, the same event makes us ask whether she can build an entire title run. That question exists because Alex has changed. Washington proved she can win. Washington proved she can beat elite players repeatedly. Washington proved she can lose the opening set of a final and respond with her best tennis when the pressure reaches its highest point. Toronto asks for the next step. Can she do it again? Can she recognize an opportunity when the bracket moves in her favor? Can she attack that opportunity before another player takes it? That is the difference between a rising star and a real contender. A rising star waits for opportunity. A contender recognizes it and attacks. Toronto has just given Alex an opportunity. McNally is standing at the first door, possibly Coco after that. Then the pressure becomes bigger with every match. So, how far does Alex go? Does McNally stop the run? Does Coco become the next great test? Does Alex reach the semifinals? Or are we watching the beginning of something much bigger? Washington proved Alex Eala can win a WTA title. Toronto may tell us whether she is ready to chase one at the highest level outside the Grand Slams. And if you want to see where this path actually ends, stay with this channel, because every result from here changes the question. How close is Alex Eala to becoming a WTA 1000 champion?